Have you ever witnessed something so petty and outrageous that you couldn't decide whether to laugh or scream? That was me, tightening the final bolt on a 6-foot-tall wooden fence, one that now split our shared lakefront clean in two. It cut through grass, dock, and even the water like a legal scalpel. Behind me stood a dozen stunned neighbors. On the other side of the fence, Margaret, cousin to our infamous HOA president, Karen, frozen in disbelief. Her luxury lounge chairs and half-finished jet ski ramp were now marooned behind a wall of wood. But let's rewind. 5 years ago, I bought my dream home in Willowbrook Estates. It came with deeded lakefront access, a peaceful beach and shared dock my family loved. Weekends meant fishing, swimming, and sunset barbecues. That lakefront wasn't just scenery, it was a lifestyle. Then came Karen. 6 months ago, she got elected HOA president, and it went straight to her head. Overnight, she became a dictator. She fined people over grass length, banned wind chimes for noise pollution, and required permission to plant flowers. But worse, she turned the HOA into a personal power network. Her brother-in-law, suddenly the paid landscape inspector. Her childhood friend got the pool cleaning contract. And when her cousin Margaret came to visit, she treated the lakefront like her private resort. Margaret didn't just bring a chair and cooler. She set up industrial-grade loungers, tiki torches, blaring speakers, and began constructing a full-on jet ski ramp on the shared space. I tried being civil, introduced myself, explained the lakefront was shared. She smirked, waved a paper in my face and said, "Karen reassigned this half to me. File a complaint if you have a problem." A reassignment from the HOA? The document claimed Margaret had exclusive lakefront access because I only used it on weekends. It even said the board had voted unanimously. Funny, since 2 board members were out of state at the time, I got suspicious. So I contacted the county. Turns out, the lakefront was deeded to my property. HOA had zero authority to reassign it. Karen's easement was a joke, legally worthless. At the next HOA meeting, I brought receipts. Karen lost it. Her face went beet red as she screamed about secret bylaw amendments and $500 daily fines for non-compliance. She even claimed a mystery meeting had changed everything. No one remembered that meeting because it didn't happen. Meanwhile, Margaret's resort expanded. The music blasted from sunrise to sunset. Guests trashed the beach. The ramp? A giant middle finger. And one morning when my 8-year-old daughter tried to go for a swim, Margaret blocked her, told her it was private property. That broke me. I'm a contracts lawyer. This was my arena. I spent a week digging through documents, purchase agreements, property surveys, HOA bylaws, decades of meeting minutes. What I found was airtight. The lakefront was deeded to me. The HOA had no jurisdiction. Any interference would open them up to personal liability. I sent a certified notice to both Karen and Margaret, 72 hours, to remove their junk or face legal action. Guess what? They didn't take it seriously. The next day, Karen showed up at my door in a robe, hair in curlers, Margaret beside her, and some guy she introduced as their lawyer. He looked like he learned law from watching Suits. They tried everything: threats, bribes, bizarre legal theories. Karen offered to waive my HOA fees for a year. Margaret suggested a shared schedule. The lawyer muttered something about squatters' rights. I smiled, said "see you in court," and closed the door. 2 hours passed. Nothing changed. Fact: Margaret added a shade pavilion. So I launched phase 2. Hired a licensed surveyor to mark the exact boundaries of the lakefront. As expected, it was split right down the middle, and Margaret's resort sprawled across both halves. Armed with the survey, I went to the hardware store and bought enough fencing to send a message. By morning, the whole neighborhood was buzzing. People asked what I was building. I said, just marking my property line. At sunrise, the fence crew and I got to work. We had the permits, we had the documents, and we had a mission. The fence cut across the entire beach, slicing the shared dock in half clean legal and poetic. Margaret came running out, coffee cup in hand. It shattered as she saw the panels block her precious setup. Karen followed, shrieking. Half the neighborhood came out to watch the drama unfold. Karen screamed, vandalism, trespassing, even identity theft. She called the cops. They reviewed my paperwork and left. She called code enforcement. No violations. She tried escalating it, probably all the way to the Pentagon. Meanwhile, Margaret's setup was hilariously dysfunctional. Half her jet ski ramp? Useless. Her shade structure? Cut in two. Speakers? Dead. It looked like a theme park destroyed by logic. That evening, Karen called an emergency HOA meeting. She passed out flyers calling me a neighborhood menace. But it backfired. One by one, neighbors stood up. Tom, a retired judge, calmly listed Karen's legal violations. Sarah, whose flower garden had been bulldozed, shared her own findings. Then others joined in, stories of favoritism, threats, money misused. And then Margaret's husband arrived. He saw the fence, the chaos. His furious wife. He sighed and said, "We're leaving." As he dismantled Margaret's setup, neighbors overheard him muttering about Karen dragging us into this circus. Karen's final move? She tried to issue an executive order to tear down the fence. That's when the board's attorney, silent until now, spoke up. He said Karen had violated the HOA charter, exposed the board to lawsuits, and needed to be removed immediately. Vote was unanimous. Karen was out, but it didn't end there. The board pressed charges, fraud, embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty. 3 months later, Karen stood in court. Guilty. She got 2 years probation, 300 hours of community service, and had to repay $47,000 to the HOA. Today, I sip my coffee by the water, watching the sun rise behind a perfectly straight fence. No noise, no drama. Just peace. And every time someone asks, "Did you really build that thing down the middle of the lake?" I just smile and say, "Yep, sometimes boundaries need to be visible." If you love this neighborhood takedown, like, share, and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. Let me know if you want a Urdu version, a voiceover script, or YouTube title, description, hashtags for this.